Survivors, seekers, and thrivers, welcome to Transcending Trauma, a spiritual odyssey. I'm Shari Lee Roberts, living proof that transformation is real. Get ready for powerful insights, inspiring stories, and a little laughter along the way.
Hello, and welcome, Rob Rene. Thank you for being here today. For my listeners, you want to get a beverage, hunker down, and get ready for an intense conversation.
I like it.
About near-death experiences, elite athleticism, and multiple other things. Rob, I like to begin first by thanking you for taking time to come on and share your authentic story. Good, bad, and ugly.
I got lots of that.
We all do.
Yeah.
But not everyone's willing to go there. So
True.
thank you. Do you mind sharing a bit about your childhood, your parents, siblings, where you grew up?
Sounds good. So I had a wonderful childhood. One of those that I hear stories and horror stories of people who have really bad upbringings, and I was just super blessed. I had a mom and dad who loved me, and I'm the baby of three brothers. So I'm got two older brothers, and I'm the baby of the group. And my parents were together until my mother passed away. So it was just like it was. I lived in Pocatello, Idaho, which is where I was born and raised. And so it was just one of those classic upbringings where it was a really middle class, comfortable, loving family. So I had a lot of advantages over a lot of other children who don't have that. So I was really, really blessed from that perspective. So I thank the Lord for giving me a wonderful mom and dad who gave me opportunities that I could try to thrive on my own in this world. So it was a pleasure.
Unfortunately, you are in the minority with that beautiful upbringing.
Right.
That makes my heart happy. So tell us now where your love of athletics came and went out to began.
Yeah, that was really fun. It's just interesting as a young boy, being the youngest of two older brothers, I always wanted to be like them, right? So I always wanted to do the things they did, and The things I remember distinctly this one weekend, my brother was running. He was a runner and he was doing one of those fun runs on the weekend, a 10K like fun run. And
Mhm.
I was young. I was probably 6 or 7 years old. And well, I was probably older than that. I was in middle school, but still I was really young. And my I went with my mom to go watch my brother, and at the beginning of the race, I saw this young kid that was my age running around with a singlet on and running shoes and shorts, and he just looked really cool. And I'm just in my jeans and regular shirt, and I tugged on my mom's coat, and I said, "Is he running?" And she goes, "Well, it looks like he is." And I was like, "Can I run?" And she's like, "You want to run a 10K?" And I was like, if he's doing it, sure. So
Yeah.
we signed me up at the last second, and they got me on the starting line, and I did this 10K run in my jeans, and it was crazy. And I ended up beating that young boy that I was watching that had the singlet on and his short. It was just like, so ever since that point, I was like, okay, I have a talent that I really enjoyed it. It wasn't hard for me, and I really liked it, and I was pretty
Yeah.
good at it. So God
Yeah.
gave me this talent that was just different, right, than other
Yeah.
people. So I started doing. I was a basketball player and soccer player, but running I was just a little bit better at that than my surrounding people. So I spent 10 years of my life dedicated to being a runner. And that's what I thought in my as I was growing up as a young man, that's what my goal in life ended up being, was to be a professional runner. That was the early goal.
Okay. So, who were some of your mentors? Olympic runners, or who did you aspire to be?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I was in high school, I was watching these runners from BYU. They were Paul Cummings and Paul Pilkington, some names, Ed Eyestone. These guys were making money running, and this was 25, 30 years ago, and
Wow.
where running wasn't very popular, and these gentlemen were super successful, and they were making money. So I'm like, that's I want to be like them. And
Yeah.
so I was super blessed to be able to have the coaches from BYU looking at me, and there I was running, and I was in southern, Pocatello, Idaho. And the crazy thing about that was one of the schools that we competed against was in a local town, and that coach was the son of the head coach of BYU. So anyway, make a long
Oh.
story short, he watched me run a lot, and he's like, "Hey, Dad, you need to go look at this guy." And
Yeah.
so they recruited me and gave me a full ride running scholarship to the school that I didn't necessarily. I'm not Mormon, so
Yeah.
it was a little difficult for me to go there. But I went there because the running was amazing, the coaching was amazing, and they were producing professional runners. So I'm like, okay, this is great. And
Yeah.
then they gave me a full ride running scholarship. So it was like, it was just it was where God wanted me to go for sure. So I ended up at BYU.
Forward is those listening. BYU is Brigham Young University in Utah. Awesome. So you go to college.
Yeah.
You're running, you're learning. you're getting an education. Tell us what happens.
Yeah, that was an incredible time, and it's just I was so excited about one, the education I was getting, but the running. The coaches were just super excited about my progress. So my progress was going very, very well. I made the U.S. junior team, so I was the second best miler in the country, and my second year at BYU. And
Wow.
I made a tour, international tour, where I raced against the best milers from 6 different countries. And I ended up beating the boy who beat me at our national championships. And I beat all the best runners from 5 different countries. So I was just doing really, really well. So excited. I'm like, in a couple of years, I'm going to make the Olympic team, and my dreams are going to come true, right? That's how I was progressing. And then I was out on a training run in the winter in Utah, and the snow was covered. The ground was covered with snow and ice, and we were out on a 10-mile run, and I was out on this back country road, and my friend yelled my name, and I turned around to. He was running behind me, so I turned around to see, and all of a sudden I see this 4x4 truck just sliding right towards me, and the 4x4 truck hit my hip and threw me 36 feet. So if you think about that, it's all the way across the room, and I landed
Yeah.
straight on my face and then my knees, and would knock me unconscious. So not only, this whole side of my face was just torn apart, and then my pelvis was broken in multiple places, and my knee was all
Oh,
banged up, and I'm laying on the side of the road unconscious, and it's freezing, right? Cold. And if it wasn't for my friend knowing that I'd had a bloody nose earlier in the run, because when I was laying there unconscious, the blood just clogged up my throat. And so if it wasn't for him realizing I couldn't breathe, he unclogged my throat, and or I wouldn't be here today. So I would have perished on the side of the road with that condition. So
okay. How did he unclog your
yeah,
throat?
it's
And you're both, what, about 19
yeah,
or 20?
correct.
Young,
Yeah,
young.
yeah, very, very young and athletic, and yeah, he literally had to open my mouth and use his finger to scoop it out. Yeah, it's a miracle that he did,
Yeah,
because
yes.
I would not, and that's what's so impactful on my life, that I knew God had a plan for me, because I would have gotten the upgrade, right? I would have been in heaven. And,
Yeah.
I did, I'm here. And, it's like amazing that he has me here for a reason. And literally, that was a crazy part in my life. And then, just 2 weeks ago, I have another miracle moment that I want to tell you about, but we can continue on the story, but yeah,
Oh,
I just know that God has me on this earth for a reason. So I
I
am emphatic about that.
can't wait to hear that. Okay, so you are taken to a hospital. What happened and
Because
how long were you there? I'd also like to know if at that time you were as grateful, or were you asking why me? Why me? I had this glorious future?
Yeah, it's an amazing question. To start, was in the hospital for it was actually, I was really, really lucky. I only was there for about a few weeks, and then the recovery took months. But I remember distinctly one day, the second day I was in the hospital, since I had landed on this side of my face, I had cuts, like really deep, big cuts in my face, and I woke up and for some reason, asked for a mirror. And I wish I wouldn't have, because I looked at myself in the mirror, and this whole side of my face was about out to here, and I looked, and I don't want to disparage anybody with any deformities, but I look like the Elephant Man. I mean, that's the only thing in my mind I could equate it with, and it's like,
Yeah.
I was like, my heart sank, and I was like, no one's gonna love me. I mean, I look horrible. And it was just like, and even now, I mean, I still, that feeling is brutal. So I just feel so bad for people who have that feeling, because, it was nothing like it. Literally nothing like it. So
And
that was tough.
yeah, they have a particularly, regardless of our upbringing, we are conscious of our looks.
Yeah, exactly.
How people visually see us.
That's right. That's right. So I
There
literally thought no one would
is,
love me.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So that was tough.
So,
That was
yeah,
difficult.
oh my God, I cannot even imagine.
Yeah.
But before you continue, I want to ask, you are a very humble man now. Were you as humble at 19 when it happened, or were you egocentric and all up in about your sport and what you were doing? Meaning, were you a typical 19-year-old?
Yeah, that is actually really interesting question, because being the youngest of three boys, when I was in grade school, I was a bully. I would beat up other kids my age, just because I always got beat up by my brothers, and I just thought that's what you
Yeah.
did. And
Yeah.
they ended up having a club that I'll never forget. It was called the Hate Robbie Club, and in my sixth grade year, and
Oh my.
it was, I literally had no friends, and that in between my sixth and seventh grade year, I had found out about the Hate Robbie Club, and it was the loneliest summer of my life.
Oh my
And
God.
that changed my life in a really, really positive way, because
Good.
I became that humble person. That's when I took the humble pie, and
Yeah.
I became a really gracious person, and I loved people, and I didn't get in any fights at all from that period on. I had lots of people wanting to fight me, and I wouldn't do it. I just even though I knew I could win,
Yeah.
I just
Hey.
became a really
Yeah.
humble person. So that was a
Yeah.
really humbling experience to go through that,
Yeah.
where you just like, wow, people don't like me. Why do they not like me? And I was like, oh my gosh, because I'm a jerk, right? And so that was so I was a pretty good kid from in my college years, even though of course I was athletic and young, and I wanted to I wanted to look good and I wanted to do well, and I had lots of aspirations, but I was a really humble person. That still has stayed with me my entire life. It's like
Well,
I'd rather stay in the background.
yeah, so when the accident happened, you were humble, and what was your mindset?
It was really bad. It was because I had lost everything I'd been doing for a decade, right? It was my entire life goal, and it was gone. And so for a number of years, I couldn't be around running. I couldn't watch running. I couldn't even walk on a street and have cars coming from behind me because I
Oh, sure.
that feeling was just it was
Yeah,
traumatic. So
yeah.
I went through I didn't call it a depression, but I went through this period where I just had to immediately just stay away from anything that was in my old life, which was really sad. Um, but my friends, I just went away from, and it was married at the time, so I just went. I got to take care of my family, so I went to get a full-time job, and I started working, so it was a really difficult period of time, to be honest. I was like, I was really frustrated, but I did have my oldest brother has always been not my oldest, my middle brother has been my mentor, and he's 4 years older than I. And a good thing about him is, even though I wasn't a good athlete, he taught me that I need to have something to fall back on. So I always did well in school. So I did well in school. I got my degree. I went into the business world, and I was like, and I became a really good, executive, selling.
Oh,
I put all my effort into doing what the world told me I should do. You go get a job at a big company, and you get a house with a white picket fence, and you have a wife and 3 kids, and I did everything that the world tells you to do, right?
oh, I know.
So
Me too. Okay. At what point did you marry? I assume you did, because that's the part of the white picket fence corporate life. Everything in your world is driving you to that. You have children, I assume.
yeah, I ended up getting the divorce in that period, and I got remarried. But then I have a wonderful hers, mine, and ours family. So my wife has a my first wife and I had a daughter together, and then my wife, that we've been married now for 25 years, but we have an hour. So we have a son who's 25, so, or 24, but it's
Right.
just, it was, from a family perspective, I've been super blessed.
Okay. But at what point did you recognize corporate America was not your calling? I also want to know when you informed your wife and others, hey, this is not my calling. I'm unhappy. I'm being called to do more.
Right.
What was their response?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's interesting is it took another, I call it the second truck because the first truck that I told you about, right, had a just huge impact on my life. My life immediately changed from what was going down one direction, and all of a sudden, boom, it's going down another. And I call the pandemic was my second truck. When the
Oh,
pandemic hit, that's when I ended up losing my sales job because I was a traveling salesperson, and there was no travel, right? So they downsized the sales team, and that was the first time in my life I'd had time to do research. And so I did research on the world and tried to protect my family. And one of the things I did not mention about my early story was that I found how important when I was a young athlete, how nutrition for me to be a successful runner. So I read a book about nutrition when I was young, and that just transformed my running. And I was much better runner because I knew how to fuel this body that got. So when the pandemic hit, I kind of went back to that. I'm like, we need to make sure we start taking care of ourselves. We need to eat well. We need to supplement well. We need to, make sure we're not going and I ended up during that research, I was reading about this doctor that was getting vilified for talking about vitamin D. They were suing him for billions, and he was just talking about vitamin D. I'm like, vitamin D is from the sun, so okay. Why is that bad? And all the research I could do on vitamin D, and vitamin D is amazing. It's an awesome resource that we all need. And then so
yeah.
it's like, well, the doctor must be really bad. He must be a really bad dude. And so I tried to uncover as much as I could about him, and I couldn't find anything bad about him. So I'm like,
Yeah.
well, then why are they? What's the motivation of why they're trying to sue him? And that's where I started uncovering what I call the medical cartel. Just it's our medical system is designed to help people, help large companies make money, not to help an individual get well.
Right.
So I did research on a lot of that and how our medical system was kind of taken over in the early 1900s. And you can do, don't believe me, go do your own research and look at this stuff because it's true. It took me a long time to research it, but was a report, anyway. So as I found out how messed up our healthcare system is, I'm like, what can little Rob, do to make an impact in this world? And that's when I also started the really, really big, impactful period of my life was I was reading the Bible every day. And so I'd been a Christian my entire life, but I was never a true Christian. I was a Christian who'd go to church on Sunday, and it was a great service and great worship. And then as soon as the door hit me in the butt, I didn't think about church until getting in the pew into the next Sunday. And so when I started reading the Bible every day, I developed this amazing relationship with God. And that literally has transformed my entire life, where now I don't live for Rob Rene. I don't live for my wife. I live for God and what He wants me to do. And then, of course, He instructs me I need to love my wife, right, and cherish my wife and cherish my family. And so but my whole goal in life is to make an impact on Him in the kingdom and do what He wants me to do, not necessarily what Rob wanted to do. So it's been a wonderful journey, and I'm so excited about life now because I finally feel that I'm in the calling that He gave me. And if I look back at everything in my life and all the trials and tribulations I've had, including the recent one, it's like He literally has been training me my entire life to do what I'm doing right now. And so it's like, wow, it's so enlightening when you see that. It's like, thank you, God. Thank you for all those problems. Thank you for that truck that hit me, right? Thank you for the divorces I've
Yeah.
had. Thank you for, me being addicted to alcohol for 25 years.
Wow.
I'm 7 years sober now, and but I went through that problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well,
So,
I, agree. I grew up Luther, no, Methodist,
okay.
but during my healing journey, I saw organized religion for what it is, and I don't support it, don't like it. But I have come to know God personally.
Amen.
Yeah, it is just what you said so perfectly. You talked with him, you know what his plan is for you, but you also recognize that plan can change in a
In a second.
beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be willing to believe, give up on control, just submit and take their ride,
Yes, ma'am.
because that is when the miracles happen, and we see why we chose this life experience. So what we are meant to do. Well, that
Right.
please tell us what happened. What is the second truck experience?
Yeah, it was just two weeks ago. I experienced a miracle. To make a very long story short, I honestly believe I contracted melanoma for a reason, and I believe that God saved me through that. So let me back up and tell you why I believe that. So I
Yeah,
have a heart condition called bradycardia. So my heart has beat really slow for 20 years. And way back 20 years ago, they said you can either live the way God designed you, or I recommend you get a pacemaker. And I said, okay, I'll live the way God designed me. And so I've lived that way for a really long time. But about a year ago, I went to the doctor just to get normal blood work done, just to see how I was doing. And the nurse was freaked out because the monitor, she's like, I think it's broke. So she got another one. And she's like, I think my monitor's broke. It's but I don't understand how two of them are broke because my heart
yeah,
was in the low 30s. She's like, that's impossible, right? So I was just like, no, that's my heart. And then she made me I had to do an EKG that day, and it became back really abnormal. And so like, you need to go see a cardiologist. So I go see a cardiologist. I do all these tests, a whole bunch of tests. And at the end of the day, he's like, you are an anomaly. Most people can't function and or survive with the way that their heart is, the way your heart is. And I was like, well, He's like, I recommend you get a pacemaker. And I just still at that point, I said, no. I said, I'm going to go get a second opinion. And so I went and tried to do it my way. I tried to do it naturally, and for 9 months, I was trying that. And then all of a sudden, boom, I get cancer. I'm like, oh no, this is not good. I ended up getting melanoma. And the surgeon said, the melanoma surgeon said, we can't do surgery on you because your heart's not strong enough. And I was like, well, that sucks. So, I had to go to a cardiologist and to see what to do. And he's like, you need a pacemaker. So I'm like, well, crud. That's the second person to tell me. But I'm so hard-headed. It took me another doctor to tell me. So I went down to Mexico to get some of my teeth work done. I got the metal removed from my mouth and the root canals done. And while I was down there, they didn't want to do the dental surgery because of my heart. So I had to go see another cardiologist. He said, I need a pacemaker. So literally it took 3 doctors for me to finally say, okay, I'm going to go get a pacemaker. And I went to the surgery, and that morning the nurses were freaking out because my heart was at 28. And they're just like, holy moly, and I'm like, that's why I'm here. Cause and they're like, yeah, but that's really abnormal. And so they knew there was something wrong, but I went into the emergency room, or not emergency room, just the actual surgeon room to get my pacemaker. They get me all hooked up, and all of a sudden my bottom chamber failed as well. So the problem I had was early on was the first top chamber was not beating, so my backup was beating, and that's been doing that for decades. But what I had found out is recently my my backup had been failing, and my lower chamber was the only thing that was beating my heart. And I'm laying on the operating table, and my heart stopped. So my bottom, literally all chambers of my heart were not functioning, and so the doctors were free. They're like, so we need to figure this out. So they had to rush a temporary pacemaker into my heart to get my heart to continue to beat. And then after they installed my official one. And then after they installed the official one, they backed the pacemaker down to try to get my heart to beat on its own, and it would not. So I literally would not be here today if I would not have gotten cancer. Because if I would not have gotten cancer, I would not have gotten my heart fixed. And so it's just a miracle that I'm here today. Because if I would have been driving or just anywhere, I could have been at the house, and if my heart would have failed like it did when I was on the operating table, there was no way to revive me because the electrical charge was not there. It doesn't beat, and so it's just I'm super, super glad that I'm here. But it's really, I didn't get the upgrade. I was like, hey, I was ready to go, even though I'm not ready to go. But I was just like, I did not get the upgrade.
Just figure that when we are ready to go, and we tell God, oh, hell yes, I'm ready.
Right.
Take me. Right. He says, no.
Yeah. He's like, you're not. I've got plans for you, young man. I'm like, holy smokes.
He is like, no. Wow.
So I'm on fire because I'm like, okay, I have to make an impact on the kingdom, because it's like he has me here specifically for a reason. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that he has me here, and I have to make an impact on the kingdom. And so I am just so passionate about what I'm doing for work. The company I've created, we created this amazing product, and our heart and mission of the company is to get 1 million new people to read the word through their health. So we're helping people with their health, which is something I'm super passionate about, is health. But then we're super passionate about getting people into the word. So I have a prayer guide that goes with every product we sell. I sell this product. called Exodus, and this Exodus supplement is really cool. It's got 7 biblical herbs that give you a lot of the nutrients that your body needs, and it's got this new science called molecular hydrogen that we combine it with, and so it really helps you internally with your nutrients and energy.
Yeah.
And the hydrogen is so fascinating. There's been thousands of studies on hydrogen and the good effects of it has. And it acts as a master antioxidant in the body. So it gets rid of the free radicals in your bloodstream and then helps the mitochondrial process work better. But the neat thing is I want to have people to read this prayer guide because I want them to engage the mind, right, and their body and their spirit in connection. So if you read this out loud and you declare it with your mouth, the Bible tells us there's power in the tongue, right? So you declaring it with your mouth, you're reading a Bible verse with your mouth, and you're reading a prayer. And so you're praying to the Lord, you're declaring your health, and you're speaking the word. And when you do that, it's really an amazing combination of you're using the capsule inside your body, you're using your mind, your eyes, your mouth, your ears. You're using multiple senses that God gave you to help you with your health. And I don't think anybody else is out there doing that. And I'm really passionate. I want people to utilize the nutrition that we're helping them with and the great product that we have. But I want them also to get in the Word because it's so fascinating when you get into the Word. You start reading it and you get interested. You're like, oh, I didn't know that the Bible said that. What does that mean? And so we have even a Bible study program behind each one of those Bible verses. So you can go spend a half an hour and do a little research. And the Bible's so fun when you start researching it, like, oh, wow, that's really neat. I didn't know that was in there. It's just like you could spend, decades, studying the Bible and still not have it all figured out. But I'm having a blast doing that.
I love your enthusiasm and obvious. You are in alignment with your purpose.
Yeah.
What I want to add to that is, even though I'm not a Bible reader, I got my information from God.
Right.
But what I am hearing is that the people that come to you and pick up the Bible will be guided to the verse, the book, the revelation, whatever it is, they need to move forward in their journey.
That's right.
That is powerful and beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Tell us about you not only have access, but you started a company called QE.
Yeah, so it's called QE Strong, and it's a really interesting company. If you can see these, it's got these little skin patches, and these little skin patches are amazing. And that's what got me really interested into this health world. Look how simple this little circle is. This is an example of one. And you just take these little patches and you apply them to your body. And when I was first introduced to this, I thought it was absolutely crazy. I was like, come on, I just put it in the back of my neck. But what it does, when I was first introduced to it, I'm like, okay, there's no way that's going to work. I said, is there medicine that goes inside the body? And they said, no. And they said, there's a frequency on it, and then it connects to your body. And I had no idea what that meant. So I had to go do that skill set that I told you that I got after the
Yeah.
pandemic. I started doing
Yeah.
my research. So I said, okay, let me understand the body, right? How does the human body work? And what I found was fascinating, and the human body is made up of energy. It's like really cool.
Right.
So if you look even at the cellular level of our bodies, our cells interact with vibrations, and those vibrations give off frequencies. And so I thought frequency was a weird term, and but then I started learning about frequencies. I'm like, oh my gosh, the cell phone you use, is a frequency. The radio is a frequency. Sound and color are frequencies. And so, okay, then I'm like, all right, frequencies aren't weird, and the human body is made up of energy, and it interacts with frequencies. So then I'm like, okay, then now tell me about this patch. And they're like, okay, we put a little crystalline structure on top of it, and then we can program those little microscopic crystalline structures with information. So they can program it with a frequency. And I even put 40 Bible verses onto those patches. So when you apply it, you've got the Bible verses and the positive frequency that's going to help you. The one I just put on is for energy. So it's a vitality patch. So we have a relief patch that helps with aches. We have an allergy patch, right? We have an anxiety patch. So we have these 14 different patches that help with different issues. And then we have a prayer guide that goes along with those as well. So you can engage the multiple senses. But frequency medicine is fascinating to me. Something I didn't understand. But it's really, really exciting. So yeah, I'm doing those two businesses, and we might combine them at some point, but it's really, really fascinating and a fun thing to do. And yeah, I'm having a blast. I know God has me here to help people with their health, because I think the pharma system is set up for just people to get pills instead of get well. And I want people to get well.
Me too. And I have also been delving into and am being treated for a couple of things by a quantum frequency practitioner.
Awesome.
I love that this is catching on, and people like you with a huge audience are getting people on the incredibly positive impact of that modality.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we are at about an hour.
Wow.
And
That went fast.
Like, no, don't let it be. What words of wisdom would you like to impart on my listeners?
I'd like to tell that if you woke up today and you have breath in your lungs, God still has a plan for you, and so don't fret, don't be depressed, don't be anxious. Just know that He does have a plan for you, and just be excited about that. Because then, If you are, then you can go and help make a difference in this world. And I want to give your listeners something that's just a gift. If you're interested in like this supplement, I'm going to give you a free travel pack. If you just go to exodusstrong.com/free, you can either send me an envelope and I'll send you back a travel pack of the product for free, or you can buy a couple of the travel packs for less than $10 just to try it. So that's something that I'd like to do. And then I like to tell people that there's 5 things you can do for free that's something you don't have to buy from me that's going to help you with your health. So if I can just leave you with these 5 real quick tips, I'll be fast. Yeah. The first one is get enough water. Hydration is really important for you. I'm about 200 pounds. I need to have 100 ounces of water. So get good filtered water and drink water. That's really important. The second one is that vitamin D thing. Get some sun. The sun is very, very healthy for you. It's gotten a really bad rap recently. The sun, especially the first 45 minutes of the day, is called blue light. No UV rays. It's just beautiful for your sun, and it helps with your circadian rhythm for your sleep later on. And then while you're outside with getting the sun, get your feet on God's given earth. Grounding is really important. It just charges your energy and gives you new energy. And then you can combine those 3 things. You can combine the sun, the grounding, and then breath work. If you concentrate on your breathing, you would go do a search on Wim Hof. He's got some breathing techniques for you that can actually give you 7 years of additional life just by breathing correctly.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, so there's 4 of them.
Well, spell his name.
Okay, it's WIM and then space HOFF. Wim Hof.
Okay.
Very, very simple. So go check that out, because the breathing techniques are awesome. It's free, right? You can breathe today. So why don't you do it intentionally and add 7 years to your life? It's just an easy thing to do. And then the 5th one is just nutrition, right? Your body needs like 90 some nutrients in a day, and there's really almost no way to do it without doing some type of supplementation. But just be really cautious about what you're eating. Get good nutrients in your body, because God gave you this incredible body, and it will heal if you give it the right nutrients. So if you do those 5 things that are not expensive, and you can really make a big difference in your health. And that's my goal. Let's get people healthy, so then you can get off the couch, you can go visit your neighbor, you can play with your grandkids, and you can have a positive impact on this world.
Excellent. Thank you so much. You are delightful.
Oh, you're a sweetheart.
I absolutely love your energy.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Transcending Trauma, the Spiritual Odyssey. If you're working to overcome trauma and would like to work with me or be a guest on my show, contact me through my website at shariroberts.org. Please hit the follow button to make sure you don't miss any episodes. I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn at Shari Roberts. You can find all the links in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. I'm Shari Roberts, your host, reminding you that you're never alone. Until next time, sending you love and light.